Hello viewers from wherever you're watching us from. You're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we're broadcasting live from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. My name is Aliou Cisse, and it's our time for your weekly State of Affairs program. Well, the Gambia will this week join, the rest of the countries around the world to observe, the International Women's Day, a day that is set aside to celebrate, the contribution of women to national development. And this year's theme is Inspire Inclusion, which actually underscores the importance of creating an inclusive society where women are valued, respected, and of course empowered to participate in all aspects of life. Joining me this week to discuss, the role of women in national development, I have in the studio Rahim Malik Lo, who is the mayor of Banjul. Mayor, good to have you in the program.
Thank you, Aliou. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
And of course, in the studio we also have Ndei Rosar, who is the UNFPA country representative. Good to have you in the program.
Good evening, Aliou. Thank you for the invitation.
Good. I'll start with you. You're already aware about the theme of this year's celebration as far as the International Women's Day is concerned. What does it mean to you?
For me, International Women's Day is a day where we celebrate each other as women, but it's also a day where we can remind the rest of the world that more or less 50% of this world population are women and that we deserve to be celebrated. It's a moment where we take stock of what is going on around the world, and particularly this year, we want to really look at how to accelerate things. But because of the way we are going, unfortunately, we will not achieve gender equality and women's empowerment. It's too slow, and we need to accelerate.
And Mayo, your take on the theme?
Yeah, Aliou, thank you very much. It means a lot to me because first and foremost, it boosts the morals of women. It sensitizes women, and it also tells women that there are people out there who are very concerned about them. Looking at the situation, especially in the context of Africa, where women are underrepresented, where women are not celebrated. So when we have International Day, we are going all out to not only celebrate women, but we are celebrating men like you who are always trying to empower women. So really, it means a lot to me and to us as women.
And anytime when you talk about the issue of youth empowerment, the girl child, our mind goes to the UNFPA. Take us through, what are your mandates when you talk about the UNFPA as far as, women and girl child empowerment in the country is concerned?
Thank you, Aliou. So UNFPA is the UN agency in charge of reproductive health and rights of women and girls and young people. So we work towards making sure that every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. It also means that we look at the numbers, and we want to make sure that data exists so that whoever is making decisions know where the people are, who they are, and what they need. So we do population censuses, we do the demographic health survey, just to have an idea of where things are. Of course, when you do that, you have to set, we set what we call transformative results. Okay. We call them the 3 zeros. And the 3 zeros are nothing else but making sure that we have 0 preventable maternal deaths, that no woman dies giving birth. And that also there is an unmet need for family planning. There are people who voluntarily would like to have access to family planning and can't. And for those, for us, meeting their needs, so really fighting the unmet need for family planning is the second transformative result. And then the last one is about ending gender-based violence and all harmful practices, which also include child marriage and female genital mutilation. So that's what we are doing in the Gambia and in many other countries around the world.
And as we speak, what are some of the projects that you are implementing in relation to, this issue of gender-based violence and, of course, early marriage, among other issues?
Yes. So, for example, last year we developed with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare what we call a gender management information system, because before that it was difficult to know how many cases of gender-based violence we have had and what kind of violence people were doing against women and girls. So there is a number, and I remember we were here last year when it was launched, called 199, that people can call when they have been prone to sexual violence or any form of violence. And then we also have what we call one-stop centers across the country in health centers, where when women and young people have been submitted to violence, they can come and get the psychological support, the medical support, and also the justice support they need. As we speak with the Ministry of Gender and Justice, we are looking at developing what we call special courts, because what happens is that when you have a case of violence, you may not get immediately the support you need, and then at some point you get tired and you just drop the case. So with the support, we will support the Ministry of Gender and Justice to have what we call special court, GBV courts, where people can get justice quicker than today.
Let me now bring in Mayor. I mean, when you talk about politics, women in politics, you are one of a shining example. I mean, the first female mayor in this country, and of course, the only woman who is serving in a very high position as far as political office is concerned. Take us through as far as women participation or representation is in politics is concerned. Your experience.
Yes, Ali, thank you very much. I'm sure you are thinking of bringing the negative side of the experience. But I think now I become bolder and I become more confident, not only because of my own, not only because of my own making, but let's say the team behind me. Once upon a time when I came into the political arena, it was not as easy as today. I came in as a woman, and then there was no female woman as a mayor. So everybody was seeing, looking at me in a different lenses, saying, okay, what is she doing here in a male-dominated arena? So it was very, very difficult, because then the confidence was not there. People think, okay, you belong to the house, you need to be there, and this is where the bus stop. But today, after excelling, doing things that people appreciate, now they understand, and having a very strong team behind me, and most of them indeed are women, people started to have confidence in the leadership of a woman. But my problem here is, we have about 8 regions. So, and having Rohim Malik Law only as a female mayor, is that enough? My answer is no. Women need to be empowered. And this is why we have inspired inclusion. This does not only stand there as inspired inclusion. It is trying to send a message to say that women should be included in all aspects of society. The most important is education. Education is the key. And then you have the leadership, including women into leadership position. This is very, 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 very important. And yes, there are a lot of difficulties, but we don't only have to look at that. We have to look at the positive impacts that my leadership has done. So this will give confidence to other women also to come. In the council, for example, what I normally do is try in the budget as much as possible to include in our budget how to empower women, giving capacity to the female staff of the council, and also trying to get scholarships for girls, empowering staffs that are surrounding me. If you look at my office, most of my staffs in the office are very, very young women, and some of them are also there as interns. So we encourage them. When I came to the office, all these staffs around me were not, they didn't have a higher education. But today, all my staffs are at least graduate from the university or about to graduate from the university.
Let me now bring in there here. I mean, in one of your events last year, you said in 2023 we had registered 575 cases of gender-based violence, and these cases happen all over the country. For example, in the Upper River region, we had 53 cases, 45 cases for Central River region, West Coast region, 265 cases, and Greater Banjul area, 145 cases. What were these violence? And
I mean, they range from rape on very young girls, actually, sometimes even under the age of 5. It's sexual violence, it's assault in the street, it's sexual harassment at work, it's trafficking, all kind of violence.
FGM?
Yeah, FGM, child marriage, because for us we consider them as gender-based violence as well. So people call the 199 all the time to say this is happening to me. And unfortunately, most of the time, they just call and we register them. Even when you offer legal justice, support, they will not take it, because we are in a very strong patriarchal system where, we are all learn from a very young age as Africans to just keep it silent, and it's killing a lot of people.
So how is this affecting, your work as an agency and, of course, in fighting these menaces in our society?
Ali, we need
this
to...
Maslaha syndrome.
Yes, but we need to clarify one thing. The United Nations is not in the Gambia because we want to be here. Okay. We are here because the government had asked us to be here. And when we work towards the National Development Plan. So the objectives are set by the government. The strategies we discuss together. We are here to support a government into its aspiration for its people. I think it's important to clarify that, which means that UNFPA and other UN agencies who are in the country, are here to support the development of the people of the Gambia while supporting the government. So we try our best. Of course, we continue to build the capacity of the government. We also work with civil society organizations and grassroots organizations where they are in the regions, as the mayor was saying, to make sure that they understand the necessity to work, for example, in strengthening the health system so that no woman dies giving birth. I think that's a simple principle that each one of us could understand. And of course, whether you are a male or female, I don't think any of us was born to accept that violence is in the society and we don't do anything about it. So it's not about UNFPA wanting something, it's about a country who had been gone through a lot and will really strive to become, a solid democracy where people get justice when they need it. I think that's where we are coming from, and that's why we're here.
And Mayor, this is a quite alarming figure in a country like the Gambia. Over 400 cases in 2023 alone.
Yeah, I think this is what I said in a lot of platforms. What is lacking in the Gambia mostly is civic education. I think it is very, very important that we start investing in civic education. Okay. And I said this in many platforms that we have to cut budgets from somewhere, from different areas, to make sure that civic education is strengthening. Okay. It has to be, people need to be aware of their rights, especially women. If you look at the gender-based violence, I wouldn't say, yes, it's gender-based violence indeed, but I will say violence against women. Because this, if you look at the percentage, you will see that women are more violated than men. So, and why is this happening? We need to see the root cause of why. So basically what happened is the civic education, the awareness, the advocacy is lacking. So it is very, very important that we come up. We have very, very strong networks here that advocate for women's rights. For example, Rafaela. And there are a lot of them here in the Gambia. But I think we need more, and they need to be empowered so that women will know their rights to avoid the violence against women.
And when you talk about gender-based violence, we also have our cultural norms. Tell us, what is gender-based violence?
So gender-based violence is...
Because maybe some people, they will confuse it. I mean, we have our own norms and values and whatsoever.
I mean,
like people think it is normal to beat your wife because she's your wife.
No, but so it starts at home, of course, as we always said. And I think we also have, everyone has a role to play. As mothers, many times, we will tell our girls to be in the kitchen and we wouldn't want our sons to be there, which is, I think, where the problem starts. So UNFPA and the other UN agencies also work into, engaging men and boys into getting into untraditional roles. I quote unquote, I would say, because for me, you know, whether you are a man or a woman, learning how to cook and sweep the floor at some point in your life will help you wherever you are. So it's about, as Madam Mayor said, to really make sure that we teach our boys and girls that they are equal. They start the primary school, for example, together, and then at some point around 13, 14 years old, when she starts menstruating, we will take her out of school. Yeah. We will now start trying to find her an older man to marry, and all of that. So we are stopping the course of her life. So the 10-year-old girl who had all the chances in the world will turn 18, be in a situation where she's poor, she's economically poor, she's not politically involved, she doesn't have any right to anything, and then the cycle goes on, and the cycle of poverty continues, and then we ask ourselves, how come our nation has not developed enough for us to call ourselves a middle income or a high income country? So there are certain things, in my opinion, that need to happen. Educating men and boys, including you know, having the buy-in of our traditional and religious leaders. Some of them are with us, and we thank them very much for it. It's important for all of us to give this equal chance. I always say that a bird with one wing cannot fly. It's impossible to make a bird fly with one wing. And 51% of this country is composed of women. So what do we do about them?
Interesting. What do we do about them, Mayor? What do we do about them?
I don't even know exactly what to say when you say what we should do about them. So basically, I will just bring you back to the theme that we have in 2024, the International Women's Day, which is saying inspired inclusion. So again, I cannot see us getting there unless and until we strengthen the advocacy. And this is why I am saying only the networks cannot do it. The government also has responsibility. This is why I said civic education must come back. Okay. Women must know their rights. They must know that they are not slaves to anybody. They must understand that our children are supposed to go to school. And going to school does not mean only going from primary 1 to primary 4 or from primary 4 to primary 6. We are saying they should be educated so that tomorrow they can sit at the round table where women policies are decided. So this is the main problem. We can say it anyhow we want, but if women are not empowered through education, we cannot go anywhere. And to have women being empowered through education, we need to have civic education to come back and give us a strong advocacy. And this is why you are hearing a lot of issues going around. And some people will just tell you, I don't know about this or I don't know about that. In the Gambia, the problem is the awareness is really a very, very big problem. I know about this because I am traveling around the rural area. And I know that the people, the women at the rural area, those who can take care of themselves are the people that have voices, are women who have voices. So that automatically tells you that if women are empowered, you cannot just use them as a tool. You cannot just use them as a tool. Aliu, this is the problem. So women need to be empowered. And as again, I would put emphasis on this. To empower us means first and foremost to give us voice. And for us to have voices, we need to be educated. And for us to take education as a success, we need to have a strong advocacy to understand the importance of education.
And earlier on, Madam Sarr, you mentioned the issue of dropout. I mean, when you go to the primary school, I mean, you have a good number of girls at the primary school, but before they get to grade 12, I mean, they're out of school and, like you said, forced into marriage. I mean, as an agency, your office, I mean, how do you support them? Or how do you try to empower them?
Yeah, so first of all, we obviously start in school. I mentioned the 10-year-old girl before. For us, it's important to give her all the information she needs while she's in school so that she prepares herself, for later life. That's one. Second, during the comprehensive health education that we give in school, you learn about your body, you learn about, who you are as a girl. I think it's very important. And then growing up, it's also important to talk to the parents, as the Madam Mayor was saying, that the civic education is important for everyone to understand that as a nation, any nation on earth, if you want to succeed, if you want a development, you cannot just fly with one wing once again. So it's important to, give them the chance to go to primary. I think at primary level, my UNICEF colleague will probably tell you that we have achieved actually more young girls going to school than boys. But then as they go along, you can go to secondary and then even tertiary. All of us are sitting here today because someone had given us the opportunity to go to school, to finish school. And then it's a cycle. So, we have children. Our children have also gone to school and will most likely have a bachelor's degree and a master's. Why? Because we were given that same opportunity. So you are not breaking the cycle of poverty when you decide to put some of them, stop them at a level where they are useful to their nation. And then, the government is aspiring to take away from to have what we call the demographic dividend and, build a human capital. So if you look at the Gambia today and the age structure and pyramid, you have very few people at the middle working hard to take care of the younger ones, but also taking care of the eldest. So you see the tension you are creating in the population, the workforce, right? They are working, but they are taking care of the younger and they're taking care of the oldest. It's just not sustainable, let's say. So for you to aspire to development, you want to make sure that you build this human capital, people who have gone to school, who are well educated and are capable of taking care of their basic needs and all. Then you move forward. But by leaving women behind, any nation who does that is not moving forward.
But Mayor, sometimes it is easily said than done. On paper, we will have this political statement that women are key in development. Like you said, the first time when you express your interest to run as a mayor of Banjul, it wasn't as smooth as many might think, seeing you today as a mayor for the second term. How are you able to survive this in a male-dominated field?
Let me tell you, Madam Rose just said that everything started at home. Even in my own party, some of them, I was not even accepted. When I came out to become a candidate, can you imagine the fight starts in my own party because some of them did not even believe that I can make it up.
Why?
Because I am a woman and they think it's a male-dominated arena. This is only there, the seat is there only for men. So this is the mindset. So this is why I said, everything, as Rose said, everything starts at the home. So when we talk about women in politics, so it automatically means that everything starts in our political parties. Women should not allow to be intimidated. And also at the same time, women also need to take responsibility to make sure that they have their voices in their own political parties. You cannot just sit down there and be a tool. Somebody who should be clapping for Mr. X or Mr. Y.
Or serving Benachin during rallies.
Or serving Benachin or buying Assobis. I will not do it for anybody. And then they are always competing with us. It doesn't matter what. Some of them, you will even empower them, and in the other hand, they will come to fight against you. So it means that those, and this is my message. Any man, anybody who is fighting against women don't deserve to have any leadership position. And we cannot now just sit at our comfortable corners and say we don't want to participate or we don't want to say anything. We need to shame and name them. Because they are telling us that you don't deserve to be anything. You only deserve to be tachukat. Clap for us and this is where the bus stops. And we are saying no. And again, Ali, you were taking me back again to the theme of the International Women's Day, which say inspired and inclusion. And this is not only there. The theme is not only there because we want it only to be inspired and inclusion. We are sending a message to women, first and foremost to say solidarity. And secondly, we are sending also message to men like you, because we understand our mentality, our mindset as Africans. We understand that we cannot do it alone. You are thinking that without us, you will move. But I can tell you that women are the breadbasket of Africa. Without us, you cannot go anywhere. And believe it or not, when we come together, solidarity, we can move without you. Whether you believe it or not. But it's the mindset. When a woman wants something, the first person that will fight against her own ambition, is a woman. And if you look at it, all they're fighting me because they want to empower you. They are fighting Rose because they want to empower Omar. So now we are saying, we want to come together. We want to show solidarity to each other. And this is not going to be something easy, because we know that the Ibrahima and the Omars are there putting our heads together. So now we are going on a radical advocacy to say, no, we want to stick together. We want to move mountains. And when we come together, we know that we can do it. In Africa, 62% of the population, not only Gambia, are women. So what are we waiting? What are we waiting to be? We have 53 states in Africa. So why can't we have 40 of the African countries to be the president should not be a woman or what? We need to be right there now. And we are sending our missiles and our voices to those that are up there thinking that we cannot do it. Yes, we can do it. But we need to come together. We need the key word solidarity to do it. And yes, we can do it.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mayor, because you have touched a very important issue there. Madam Sarah, I would like to know from you, often than not, when you talk about the issue of gender-based violence, in most cases, victims are not supported, but rather they are being ridiculed, shamed, called all sort of names. As an agency, how do you engage the community, of course, through the media, to ensure you are able to change the perception of people towards victims? You certainly know when victims are ridiculed, Mokote, the way she dressed, and all those stuffs are being used as excuses to justify the reason for, the person going through that, shameful act, of course, rape and other issues.
It takes education. First of all, I wanted to address what Madam Mayor was saying about the parties, the political parties. I think it's important that we come to a conclusion that we need to have a quota system.
Okay.
And I think the political parties, I'm sure they are listening, I've seen some of them saying that this is what they are going towards, really creating a space where you have a quota for for women, but also a quota for young people, because we are also a nation that is like 62% below the age of 25 or 30. Anyway, so that I just wanted to add that to what she said. On gender-based violence, once again, going back to what I said before, it's important that we start educating people at a young age. And once again, the parents are also responsible. The teachers are also responsible. The government is also responsible through the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. You have to teach people to understand. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I went to one of the schools in Banjul, and the boys were saying that, oh, you look like a feminist. And I said, do you know what a feminist is? Yeah. And they said no. And I said, for me, a feminist is anyone, male or female, who believes in the equal rights of women and girls and men. So you are sitting here, Aliu, and we consider you as a feminist, because a feminist is nothing else than that. There is nothing negative about it. It's for you to understand, wherever you are, consciously, that you are equal and that you should be given the same equal opportunities. That's what all we are looking for, nothing else. And that starts at a very young age. You have to teach the young generation to have compassion, towards their female counterpart, to understand when they come to school and they are menstruating, that we don't mock them because they have stained their clothes, or they become pregnant and it's their fault. Nobody is calling the boys to say, how did you get her pregnant? So it's a process and it takes time. And I also wanted to clarify that as a UN organization, we are not implementing directly anything. We are here to support a government's aspiration and the people's aspiration through the CSOs and the community-based organization that we support. We are not paying anyone. We are not being paid for what we do in any way. We are really a development partner to the government of the Gambia and the people.
Mayor, let me now bring you back. I mean, often than not, I mean, you talk about men not supporting women. But how about women not supporting women?
No, actually, I always...
Sometimes you got to some of this... Sometimes you go to some of these political parties, Congress, I mean, you have women delegates and you have a candidate who's a woman, yet they wouldn't vote for you. Isn't that also contributing?
That's very right. I'll take you back to the was it the Children National Assembly?
Yeah. The National Youth Parliament.
I was dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded because they have almost about 3/4 of them were girls, and who end up winning the votes? It was the young man there. So basically, when women want something, I can tell you, men come out in their numbers to support us. I invest so much in the empowerment of women, but my strong constituency is the men. I can tell you, I have a lot of men behind me supporting me genuinely because they want to see us empowered. They want to see us empowered. So the problem is not the Omars and the Ibrahimas. The problem is the Fatus and the Mariamas. We need to believe in ourselves. We need to understand that if women don't sit at the round table where women policies are decided, we can never be empowered because we will leave it in the hands of the Omars and the Ibrahimas, and they will decide for our fate. So this is what I am saying. I am saying that we should come together, build alliance, form a strong solidarity team, and empower ourselves. Aliu, I just told you that we are 62% in Africa. How many female presidents do we have in Africa? We should sit down and ask ourselves why. In the Gambia, 57% of those that are voting are women. How many women do you have in the parliament? How many mayors do you have?
I think there are 5. 3 elected.
Are they all elected?
3 elected, 2 nominated.
Exactly.
In cabinet, if I'm right, we have only 2.
Thank you so much. And then you have only 1 mayor. And even the position of the mayor, they fought, took a nail to take it out from me. And this is where the credit of the woman comes.
And that's where the Bur Banjul comes.
Exactly. And this shows you that now women are standing firm to say no. Even this one, the only one, the government could have said, okay, we are going unopposed because she is the only female mayor. But they said, no, we want to take it out and also bring in a male candidate. And women said, no, this time we are not going to do it. So that teach them that majority carries the vote. When we come together, we can move mountains. So I am telling them we are in the month of women. The month is not there only because it's there as March or is there just to celebrate women without the concept of believing in the empowerment of women. We need, it's high time that we start celebrating the Fatus and the Idas. It's high time that we start empowering the fathers and elders.
Seems,
and
Madam,
those also,
exactly.
those that are in leadership positions, women, should also make so also they do their quota by empowering also women. It's not only the women who are there voting or the women who are there deciding our fate, but if you are also in the position, you need to do something.
Before I bring in Madam Rose here, I mean, I've seen you recently, you crossed over to the Nyomis. What have you been doing there with those women?
Yeah, because those women there also are very important. I
Exactly.
told you here that women are the backbone of Africa. They are the breadbasket of Africa. But it's not the women that are at the urban areas.
My mother is in the village at the
Exactly.
garden at Dongoraba.
Let me tell you, those are the women that are carrying. Those are the women that are the weight of Africa. If you look at those women who are doing the gardenings and then think that what they are doing does not contribute anything, I can tell you that those women are the breadbasket of Africa. Those women are the women that should be celebrated.
And they are feeding millions of families in this country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why on the 13th of March, because on the 8th of March, we will let the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare lead us for the 8th of March celebration in Brikama. Okay. But the UN system, we have decided to go to Kerjarga, and Madam Mayor had happened to be one of those who came with us with the First Lady to inaugurate the processing center we created there. Okay. Exactly for the same reason she just mentioned, to empower rural women, because during the last election, the local election, although we gave them, capacity building on to be able to compete, they really told us that, look, it takes funds and it takes economic empowerment, and we are not empowered. So the center in Kerjarga is for them to be able to take from the garden to the processing center. They are making, juices and oils and dry foods like the mangoes and all, to be able to sell them and then have funds, because we are already preparing them for the next election. And
in 2021, you also opened another center in Basse, on training young girls how to.
Yes, so the center in Basse is to provide menstrual pads and jobs to young women in that. We even have one of them who's a disabled young woman who's working there, and she feels really empowered to get up every morning and go to work. So there's a combination of several things that we need to do. Women's political participation, I think with the new constitutional reform we're all talking about, it's about time that we put there a quota system for women to be able to take office, for the government to have more people in the civil service, and in different part of the society. I think it's also important that we look at the core mandate of UNFPA, which I mentioned in the beginning, because you just imagine, today we have 289 women out of 100,000 who die giving birth. Or if they don't die giving birth, they will end up with what we call an obstetric fistula. They will be, passing urines and in some cases feces wherever they sit, and then they become, someone that no one wants in the society. Then that same woman, if she dies, is leaving behind children, and the circle of poverty is continuing, right? And you also have a young person today who doesn't even want to stay in the Gambia anymore, because for them there is no prospect. But how it all starts is for you to empower young girls to become young adults, to become part of the society, to really fulfill their dreams, and you support them psychologically for them to move and become part of the society. So I think it's an important message we have to tell again. Two things. Feminism is not about Rose sitting here or Madam Mayor sitting here and saying that women should be at the table. We are not, fighting anyone, but we want to tell them that a feminist is nothing more than someone who strongly believes in the equal rights and opportunities of women and men.
And talking about equal rights and opportunities, Mayor, let's now look at employment, economic empowerment in this case. I mean, most of the institutions, when you go there, I mean, most of the employees are men. Isn't that also a concern?
Yeah, of course, Aliu.
Most of the top positions are occupied by men.
Yeah, indeed, and I've been
Because
saying
you
this.
need
The
to
last,
educate people. If people, how a woman can only be there if she has been educated to take that.
yeah,
that
but,
seat.
let's start with the presidency. If you have the vice president as a man, this should have been a typical example when my brother, the president, take a woman as the vice president. You have only 3 women in cabinet. Is that enough?
But under him, we had 2 vice presidents who were women.
Yeah, but we are talking about now. Are you talking about yesterday? We are talking about change. We are talking about change. So we are saying today we need, at least if we cannot have the president as a woman, we could have the vice president as a woman. What is stopping the IGP being a woman? Why can't we have the chief of defense staff as a woman? For God's sake, are we only there to substitute? Are we only there to substitute? This is what you are telling me, that yesterday we have 2 vice presidents.
I'm just trying to give you an example.
Yeah, but that is, for me, that is nothing. We are talking about today. We want to see women in leadership positions. We want to have the IGP as a woman, with the chief of defense staff. What is wrong from having the chief of defense staff as a woman? When you have the colonels, Fatu Baldes and the others there, who are doing more than even expected to do. How many people? You want to tell me that since 200 years after the birth of Gambia, we cannot still have an IGP as a woman? When we break the barrier of getting the first female mayor, why can't we have the IGP as a woman? Why can't we have the chief of defense staff as a woman? Why can't we even have the president as a woman? It's possible. It can happen. It can happen. And I am sure that any woman that comes to the forefront to become a president, you will have the backing of the president.
And aside from just being vice president, minister, or national assembly member, Madam Sir, how do we empower those women in the provinces, those women in the garden who perhaps couldn't have the opportunity to go to school and earn degrees like you and Mayo are today? How do we empower them?
No, I mean, first of all, I think we should do our utmost best to make sure that everyone goes to school. Okay. If they have not had the opportunity to go to school, as I said, we have the example of Kerjarga. You create the economic opportunities, because not everyone will be wanting to go to school, but also, whether it's in agriculture, in tech and sciences, anything that they do, you can help them to get better at it. And today, you know, my colleagues from FAO are working in strengthening the network of gardens, women gardenings. You have those who are, you know, helping young girls learn how to build solar panels, how to be better at math and sciences. But I think what we need to understand is that you have to give them the space to be there. Okay. And that's what the mayor is saying. Give them the space to be there. If you are a party, make sure that you create the space for women not to just be the one clapping, but they are also at the you know, at the steering committee level, that they make decisions. So then one of them will thrive and become a political party lead, or the president or the vice president. Same thing, if you come into the North Bank and you find women who are using this processing center, how do you empower them to continue to be bigger? Maybe the Ministry of Industry will come in and say, hey, you know, there's one center, we need to multiply them, so that in each region we will have a processing center, so that we don't lose all the mangoes we see here during the summer. How many? So many, but they end up, you know, rotten at the end of the season. We have not done anything about it. And those little things are there, but I think, as UNFPA always says, you start with the young generation. You teach the girls that, you know, they are valued, that they are not just seen as you sweep the floor, you cook, you cannot go to school, you should be getting married by the age of 15. All of these are just pulling them down. And as a nation who want to develop, it's not possible. It's impossible to develop yourself if you are leaving half of your population behind. So basically that's the message. And the government is very committed. If you read the current National Development Plan, human capital is at the center of it. They're talking about, you know, empowering women, putting them in TVETs and all, you know, those who cannot continue their education. There is a system put in place to bring them back after their pregnancy and all. So it takes policies, it takes intervention at home, in the public spaces. The mayor is talking about safe city. I think it's a very noble cause, because when she launched the project, we went and we were saying to ourselves, what do you call a safe city? It's a city where at night I'll be able to drive or jog without being submitted to violence by anyone. Or if I go to the police and I said someone had just raped me, that immediately the police officer takes action. And then once the police officer takes action, immediately I know where to go to have justice and peace of mind. Because the psychological damage is also something that we need to talk about. You know, every day you hear sad stories about how women are treated in their homes, at school, on the street, and it's just not good. We need to do something about it.
Earlier on, I mean, she mentioned about the issue of the need for reforms. I mean, 2 years ago, I mean, one of the National Assembly members in the name of Fatma Tanjai brought in a bill regarding this quota system, which was thrown out of Parliament. What are the chances of having some of these reforms, you know, take place? I mean, that will empower women when we have, for example, in Parliament, it's dominated by men.
I have confidence that when it comes back to Parliament, they will vote it in.
Okay.
I am very, very confident.
So you are campaigning?
We are campaigning, and we are talking to a lot of our colleagues at the Parliament, and most of them now understand that this is very, very important to have that bill passed. And yes, I think when it comes back, Tuma will have a victory, and the women of the Gambia will have victory. And one thing also I want to say, I don't know whether my brother is listening to this program or not, but 2026, we have indeed Ousainou Darboe as our candidate at the United Democratic Party. But 2031, I want both my brother and Ousainou Darboe to consider it, to bring women as a candidate for
but
the
Mayor, is this official? I mean, people will say Mayor is on QTV saying Ousainou is the candidate for...
Yes, Ousainou Darboe is going to be our candidate in 2026. I am saying this, and I am saying this with confidence. But 2031, make sure that Ousainou Darboe and Adama Barrow, my dear brother, both of you should make sure that both of you bring a woman as a candidate.
Well, that's according to the mayor. Hopefully tomorrow will make the headlines. I know so many people are watching. Next minute
I am saying this with confidence.
I said mayor.
Do you want me to repeat it again? 2026, Ousainou Darboe is our candidate, the candidate of the United Democratic Party.
So many women have to wait until 2031 again.
Yeah, that's okay. We also have our plans. Don't worry.
Let me bring in Madam Sar here. I mean, the issue of FGM. What is your office doing to address the issue of FGM?
I like how you ask your question, because once again, it's not like what my office is doing. It's the UNFPA.
So that you just clarify so that people will know.
UNFPA.
Because maybe many outside also having the same...
UNFPA,
yeah.
UNFPA. As I said, we are here to support the government of the Gambia and the people of the Gambia. We don't have any hidden agenda.
Okay.
We work with the government, who had signed many and ratified many conventions and African charters and others. That's one. Second, it's the will of the people that we go with. And, you know, a debate is always good. I think what is happening in the country right now is, for me, a sign that the society is evolving and people are, you know, taking the time to understand the issues. What I can say is that UNFPA and the rest of the UN in the Gambia, what we strongly believe is that you have to hear the survivors. There are people saying that FGM, the mutilation part, is not happening in the Gambia. It is happening, and we have heard it from survivors. We heard also that there is a need for dialogue, and we've been calling for dialogue. So, for example, in the next coming days, some scholars from Egypt and others will meet with Gambian religious leaders to also discuss. What we strongly believe as UNFPA is that it's a harmful practice, that we have heard the psychological and you know, physical damage. The health benefits has never been proven. And what we see from a medical perspective is people who have been having difficulties giving birth, who give birth to children who have cerebral palsy or some kind of other, consequences, keloids, and the list goes on. If you invite any medical doctor into your platform, they will tell you. So that's all I can say. There are some psychological damage, there are some physical damage, and that is a harmful practice, and that the Gambia has ratified so many international human rights and rights of women and children that we are really hoping that the law will stay as it is, and that we will continue the dialogue at country level, at regional level, in communities, to make people understand that there is no hidden agenda. Nobody is getting paid to say anything. We have heard the survivors, and it's our duty as a United Nations to hear the voices of the people and to work with the government to make sure that their voices are heard.
Mayor, what's your take?
Yeah, when we talk about FGM, I always want to reserve my opinion.
Okay.
And not because I am afraid to talk about FGM, but should I say I'm a victim of FGM, or should I just keep quiet? So to be quite honest, for me it's not only sensitive to talk about, but it's emotional, because the stigma is right here with me. So, and
it's
yes.
always painful, yeah.
Okay. And when you talk about the theme of this year's celebration, you talk about empowering women. You talk about empowering girls. So certainly this thing fit in right in this thing.
No, absolutely. And it's about accelerating, and we have the numbers that if we don't do anything about it, you are just putting yourself into a position where some people will suffer. Even though, you will hear many times people saying that, I went through the practice and nothing happened to me. People are talking about medicalizing it and all. For us, there is no health benefit to it, and it has been proven by scientists, by WHO, many doctors and professors and researchers, anthropologists, anyone you ask will tell you that there is no benefit. That's one thing. And second, we have to hear the voices of those who are survivors and who are telling us that they have had the psychological trauma their entire life, even if we don't believe it. And once again, FGM exists in the country. There are people who are doing what we call the type 3 and 4, where they cut, they close, and they only leave a small opening for the woman to be able to have her menstruation. But it's a long process, we understand. Where people are coming from, it's deeply rooted in their culture, and we are open for debate. And when I say we, I'm talking about the people, to make sure that the voices of those who are survivors are listened to, that their pain is seen and heard, and that we keep the gains that we have made, because we don't want to go back 200 years.
Thank you so much, Neiro Sarr, who is the UNFPA country representative, and Rahima Leklo, the first female mayor of Banjul and the Gambia. Thank you so much for coming on the program. I quite appreciate your time. This is part of preparation for the celebration of the 2024 International Women's Day. As you know, Gambia will join the rest of the world to celebrate women for their contribution to national development. On behalf of everyone here at QTV, I thank you so much for watching this week's State of Affairs program. Do join us next week. Until then, bye-bye from me and the entire team. Good night.